Okay, so I'm not sure. It's 10:03, and this says that it's scheduled for now. So I'm going to just assume that for now that we're going and see what comes. If not, maybe it will save it and we can post it later. So it's really good to see you, Haris. Thank you for agreeing to talk with me this morning and just hang out here while I chat about framing with you and art and anything else about life and things that we enjoy. So,
it's great. It's great, and it's really fascinating to be here at the very beginning of your journey. So I wish you all the best, and to you and to the Once Again with Meaning channel.
Okay, and wait, let me have a look. Oh, okay. Well, I can see Emma's chatting in StreamYard, and I'm good to see. I did have Emma and I went through a practice run to see if I could put the logo from the YouTube up in here, and of course I've forgotten where to find it. But I really appreciated you making that for me, and I was going to ask you about that to start, because that's something I've never tried to do, just to create. So I was wondering if you wanted to tell me a little bit about what prompted you to do that. How did you create it? And
yeah, for sure. First of all, I just wanted to find a way to be of help, and also to try to let's say help you in terms of setting up the channel. So one of the things that I actually it prompted me, let's say, to do it was out of in the spirit of camaraderie, like being friendly and trying to, this little corner. It's what I like to say. It's a one place. So sometimes it's the little actions that matter. So I took the initiative to actually engage in what is called, in the technical term, prompt engineering. We have all these large language models these days, like Chat GPT and all of that. So I have some experience in terms of making prompts, let's say. And when I saw the description of your channel that has to do with, it's all about words, language, art, poetry, faith, and journeys. So I came up with the following prompt, if I remember correctly. It was something like, I asked Chat GPT to imagine that there was an international tournament taking place where the best illustrators were competing for to create, let's say, the profile, a picture for a new podcast, and that tackled with that particular, let's say, topics. And I asked it to generate and give back to me the topmost ranked, let's say, profile pictures for that. And that's the one that I actually really liked. And that's why I forwarded it to you, in hoping that you will also like it and maybe use it. So I felt very nice and good that you also liked it and you even used it. So thank you for that.
I stared at it for quite a while because it's got a lot of layers to it, and it gave me opportunity just to look and imagine. Actually, it's interesting that you said that you created it in a way that, that there was more than one person creating the image, or to create for what was in the image. Because, yeah, that's something that's really exciting about when I look at it, that there's a pattern. My eyes will move around the picture and see. So I really appreciate you doing that. And that's a kind thing to do. So thank you. It's funny when you talked about prompting at the beginning. What kind of prompting did you say? It's a prompt.
It's called prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering.
It's the way we interact with these large language models. It's a technical term, but basically it has to do with the way you structure, let's say, the actual query that you are gonna give it to as input, let's say, to one of those models, in order to get back the best possible or near optimal response, let's say. So it's a technical field, but it has very nice intersections also with art, because it's also capable not only in generating text but also in generating some visual art. And the interesting component there that always fascinated me is that it can actually mimic, let's say, different styles from different artists.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I have this interest in history of art and also in art and aesthetics. So I also like that aspect of it. It's the aspect actually that I appreciate greatly in terms of these large language models. So yeah.
Yeah, when I think of language models, because of my life, I think in a much smaller frame. So as you said, prompt engineering, I flash back to when my children were small, because you had, when you would sit down with any of the communications people to work with your kids, they'd be, was it, is it hand over hand? Is it modeled? Is it spontaneous? So you're initiating different kinds of prompts. And you're also, it's a different form of trying to engineer some language in a way. So I was like, that's a great term.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a technical term, but it actually applies because what these models are doing, they are actually trained in order to predict the next word, let's say, in a given sequence of words. So they are really good at trying to do that. And the same thing goes in terms of when they are trying to imagine, let's say, in the creative mode, uh, some illustration that goes along with a particular string of words and concept, because at the end of the day it goes back, it can be traced back to the more abstract concepts, let's say.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of technical things, and you also work, we were chatting before, like with, we were chatting before about autism. We were chatting about different areas. And I know you like the art. So that's at least three things that I know about you where this kind of intrigue can kind of build up in the things that you do. Is there any other places that you would kind of attack from that same perspective?
Yeah, actually I have a great and diverse array of interests uh,
Nice.
since I was a child, I think. Of course, those that you've mentioned are some of my favorite ones. Uh, in the past, and in some aspects, some of those they are actually moved beyond mere interest, like even into the field of uh, voluntary work. Like I remember before I got my first job at a telecommunication company, a telco operator here in the island that I live, the island of Cyprus. I volunteer right after I finish university, computer science. Basically, that's why I have this affinity with computers. I volunteer to the National Center for Children with Autism, and I spent my summer there, and I really felt a connection, let's say, with all those children that were there, but also with the caretakers that they were responsible for this great work. And many years later, when I left that telecommunication company and I opened up my own research company, let's say, um, I at one point in my career, I got involved in a large scale co-funded European project, as they call them, that had to do with uh, setting up different pilots in different cities in Europe and also beyond Europe. And one of them was was in Croatia, and it had to do with the city of with the capital of Croatia, basically the city of Zagreb. So the pilot there, it was one of those that I was actively involved in, and they came to us, basically to the research team, and they told us, okay, we have the National Center for Autism in Zagreb, and in the plot we actually have the center. Half of it is built, and it is this building that we host everyone, and the other half is empty. And we would like to transform that into a park that can be used by the parents, let's say, that come from different other areas of the country to visit their children during the over the weekends, let's say, but also to be able to be utilized by the children and the families living in that region. So it had this dual aspect, let's say, of being functional, a functional space, a park for both children with autism and non-autistic children. So that was a very challenging, let's say, task of how to solve that particular, very demanding, let's say, problem. And one of the things that it actually really helped me was that volunteering that I did that summer years ago. So everything in a way came and fit very well in my case. And we engage into the literature. We had like structured questionnaires with the caretakers, but also with the parents of the children of the people living around the neighborhood. And we realized that the way to solve that problem was to create what we call cognitive maps, basically, and simulate different what-if scenarios. And we basically, I had the idea that the best way to solve this difficult task was to imagine that space, the park, into different zones. So one zone was populated with different type of the equipment that you might find inside the park, and we ran different simulations, let's say, until we find the perfect match that it was like that sweet trade-off spot where both categories and also the caretakers and the parents were actually able to use. So we included things like we excluded basically merry-go-rounds, and because children with autism, they don't like to get touched, a lot. They feel a bit agitated. But we included swings, for example, because both children, they like to, this.
It's a different style of movement completely, yeah.
Yes. We also had like botanical gardens that, something that actually touches upon the olfactory senses. That was something additional that we find that it works, and many other interesting things. So we have a long report that actually covers that, and we were really happy with the work that we managed to achieve there.
How long ago was that, approximately? Like, was that in
well,
the last decade? Was it recent? Was it?
No, it was like in 2015.
Oh, that's not that long ago then. No,
Yeah.
that's good. I know when my children were little, they were still talking about the sibling issues, because the sibling, and they were trying at that point to develop some course. Well, they always start with courses and things. so that you can learn how to deal with the siblings issues. But I love the practicality of creating a park where the kids can go and interact in, ways that are exciting and safe for both groups.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it included the community around it as well. That's really great.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes, especially here in Europe, we are trying to really be inclusive, and in our efforts into our zealousness, let's say, to be fully inclusive, we exclude, the the main categories of people. So we also took that into account, and it was really interesting as a project, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that is one of those words I've been watching for decades. The whole concept of inclusivity is, I think, it's not that I wouldn't have thought about it. I have an adopted sister who also has some developmental issues.
Mhm.
So she was somewhat my inspiration for some of what I did with my son. But I remember when he was a baby, in the deaf aspect of his, because he's deaf as well as having autism. We went down to Gallaudet University in Washington, and they had a book out. The whole Americans with Disabilities Act was just coming into play. And I mean, that's 30 something years ago, and we're still figuring things out. Which is also why I asked, when was this project? Because it could have been anywhere along, a 20-year time spectrum, from what I've been watching here. And still here, there's still areas for improvement within the community things. So, yeah, at this point now, I look at what are the aspects of things for the adults, and something I saw that was interesting a couple of years ago, and I honestly don't remember where, but it was an article, or might have even been had a video with it that I came across about a similar concept I think it was in the Netherlands, for patients with Alzheimer's. And so it was safely contained, but everybody would, in the morning, they'd get their spending money for the day. It was created like a little village. And so autism, I say that by habit. The patients with Alzheimer's, wherever it was for, they could go out into the village, they could have their morning coffee, they could do all kinds of normal things, but it was in a space where they could interact with others safely, and they wouldn't actually get lost, because it was it was something like that park, where it's within a contained space, it has a purpose, it has a way to help people engage. And I was like, oh yeah, people with exciting ideas are coming on board a lot of these things lately. And so I was really excited to have that conversation, have it again with you, because yeah, that's
Good.
great.
Yeah, this aspect of creating safe spaces uh,
Yeah.
actually is crucial, and I know sometimes this discussion also gets transferred into the virtual spaces to create safe spaces in the virtual arena, let's say. And of course, that also it's a valid argument, because it allows everyone to feel um, comfortable enough to raise their own voice, let's say, and engage into a dialogue and share ideas. And it's beautiful when people share ideas, because something new might come out of it, or maybe we can solve, let's say, even a minor problem that we face, that maybe it's even unrelated with the topic of the discussion.
Hmm.
Uh, but it actually, it works like in a chain in a causal chain, let's say.
Nice.
Yeah.
I yeah. Do, so do you have a lot of opportunity to interact with people around these kinds of discussions? Or is that somewhat more on your volunteer side of life, or is that more able to integrate with some of the things you do daily, or?
Well, you mean particularly in this topic of autism, or generally speaking?
It doesn't have to be autism. No, just
No?
thinking in terms of some of that, helping people to integrate into a space themselves, or helping the things you've been talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I have a long, let's say, experience in trying to develop these uh, spaces,
Hmm.
and especially the parks. So after that, let's say the project with the Zagreb, or in Zagreb, um, I was actively engaged into creating an ecological park here in my city. So along with some volunteers, we took an abandoned parking lot, and we've turned it into an ecological park. So we took the, let's say, what other people they consider to be garbage, like, all pallets and all of that, and we created a fence. Or we took, for example, um, the cypress trees cones that they fall on the ground, and we created ecological paths. So we gathered a lot of them, and we created, let's say, a pathway where we took non-recyclable beer bottles, and we created two lines in order to signify the path. And inside of it, we filled it, let's say, with these cypress tree cones. So when people they came to the park when it opened, they were actually taking off their shoes in order to uh,
Oh,
step on it.
lovely.
And because it was in the middle of the city, it offered this experience, of the forest. We also had like a line of cypress trees over there, and we fully utilize also that in order to create once again a safe atmosphere for people to come and have discussions, share activities, and all of that. So yeah, in a very indirect way, I was involved in what is called community building, but
Mhm.
also something a bit more technical that is called capacity building. So yeah, uh,
Nice.
yeah, it's something that has to do with increasing the capacity, or the capacity of um, non-profit organizational leaders, or volunteer organizational leaders, uh, to be more diverse, and even more effective, let's say, in their communication strategies with people. So
Oh, that's a big thing. I know uh, I, I spent most, I'd say most of my really direct engagement was within the deaf community and some of their agencies and programs and things, but also with the indirectly through them, also with some of the government, like our regional government,
mhm,
because when they would they were advocating for a day center, and they were advocating for, they had a workshop. That's one of the things I'm missing since the last few years shut a lot of things down. That my son would go every day to, they had a woodworking shop on the property where the day center is. And his dad was a carpenter. And so he has loved wood since he was little. Somewhere I have a picture of him helping to drywall when he was 3. um, and um, and the whole trees and things. He's loves the walks. He'll take me on weekly walks. In the city where he lives, there's I guess it's a mill pond where they've kind of diverted something somewhere, and it goes around and comes back the same way. And in between, there's one of those nice pathways you can walk to the end where it curves. And
yeah,
he'll make me walk on that, and he'll comment on the wood chips and things. And
yeah,
yeah, so you're right. You're talking right up his alley. He loves those things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Engaging with, sculpting with wood. It's really fulfilling. Another activity that in my personal time I love to do is I try to find some the so-called driftwood, the wood that gets let's say on the shores, and
Yeah,
it's a very specific quality of wood, and in more cases it comes in a very nice shapes, and it's
I
good. You
love
can,
driftwood.
yeah,
I like water.
yeah.
What do you do with the driftwood? Do you actually reshape any of it, or do you do things with the shapes you discover?
You can create a lot of things, like for example, tables, or even you can. How do you say? You can even engage into some very specific exercises. Like I remember one time I was looking to find a walking stick, and I find one, like not more than one, and because the shape it was like very unique.
Hmm.
Uh, Someone, a stranger, basically, he saw it when I found it, and he was very intrigued into it. And I got to him, no, please have it. So, and in another occasion, he told me that he's actually using it into his works. So
Nice.
there are many things that you can do with driftwood, and the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Do you I'm still thinking about some of your volunteer things, but so you do art a little bit yourself or artistic things. Yeah. Art's
Yeah,
a broad category.
yeah.
The wood's art, driftwood is art, and
Mhm.
but but yeah, and then you do actual, it sounds like you do actual creative engineering of things. So you take it up a level to where you're building structures out of the, component pieces and things. Um, are you still volunteering at all? Are you in the, in the communities where you're talking about getting some of the, like, you sound like somebody that would be amazing at working with people at the capacity building, as well as providing them the environment in which to do it. So I'm just curious, do you
Yeah.
have opportunity to do things like that still, or?
Still now, the opportunities are a bit less, and due to the fact that I've decided to take a slightly different route, due to various things. But one of them was like I had to undergo a surgery, so I had to step a bit back from all that, let's say, sphere. And but of course, I am in touch with different communities online, and I try to be of as great support as I can. In some cases, there is up until very recently, I was trying to have a curatorial role. So I was trying to help local artists that they engage in art, and especially in what we call upcycling art.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I didn't let you even really, I didn't give an introduction to you, and yet I know that your the name you go under, upcycle, is it means something, and so yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. But basically, upcycling it's a movement, let's say, that has to do with it is an alternative to the recycling industry. So it has to do with it is a grassroots movement, and the main idea is like instead of engaging with the recycling industry, that in more cases they, they are not, how to say it, it's not 100% what they say. Like there is an aspect of um, I don't want to say corruption there, but we
I
can
work
call it,
retail. I know where you're going.
yeah, we are calling it greenwashing. So they are
Yeah.
just trying to push, let's say, citizens in order to engage into this practice that is ongoing since the 60s, basically. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really help the cause that it suggests that it helps. And to be fair, not to the full extent. So, of course, there are some very good usages of
Oh, yeah.
recyclable materials and all of that. But upcycling, it's a more natural, let's say, and creative movement, and it has to do with the following. Basically, you have a product that reached, let's say, the end of its life cycle. Okay. For example, you can imagine, I don't know, one lighter. Okay. So those that they cannot get refilled, for example. This is just one example. So because it's made out of plastic, it is normal to throw it away or put it to the recycle bin. Upcycling does the following exercise. It says, okay, since this product has already reached the end of its life cycle, how can we utilize it in order to extend it in a creative way? And I know a person from Germany that he's actually taking aluminum cans and these one-use non-refillable lighters, and he creates art with it. So you can understand it something like he uses it as Lego pieces. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so that's something that adds value. Of course, it changes the original usage of the product, let's say, but it does it in a creative way that adds value, let's say, and removes, let's say, pressure from the environment. So that's the idea behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know one of the things where I work, they sell food products, which were too often heading towards, the dump or wherever. And some of it's just because of how the whole system works, not because there's anything wrong with the food. And now they've started to partner with a local food bank, which partners with several other food resourcing. And, some of them are another food bank or other programs that run in the area. And I've been very proud of them for taking that step. And I also saw they've had when the bags were still going, the plastic ones, they would have plastic, and I think they still have a plastic recycling drop box that you can use. And I've noticed a new bin that says it's for things where they're like makeup products and things. Each one is like labeled with things so you can help to redirect things. So they've been really looking to also ways that you can help to redirect things. And upcycling is called something different in Canada, and I cannot remember exactly which term they've applied to it, but yeah, that's great. When you mentioned pallets earlier, when my son was in the wood shop, they had some regular places that they would go around and they would collect used pallets from that were still functional, but it wasn't part of how the system works. That things came in on new ones, and they would get the clients in the wood shop to create. They made birdhouses. They made those Muskoka chairs, the ones that sort of lean back. They did all kinds of things, and then they could sell them, and that would go towards some of the activities and things and some new supplies and whatever. So it kept it going. But so I'm kind of sad to see that go, but we'll see what happens. It may come back.
Yeah, that's great. I am wondering if the word you are looking for was repurposing.
It is a form of repurposing, but I remember I signed all kinds of books out from the library, from the arts and crafts section mostly, because it's a lot of artists that were taking this on. And some of the people for clothing repurposing, to the people that could sew themselves. There was books on that, but I don't know if there was books on a lot of the kind of items that you're discussing in terms of how to use them. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually got the chance to look a bit at the comments in the live stream, and I've seen Weeks asking about the this TV here, the electronics.
Yeah.
Let's say, yeah, actually that's one way. Instead of throwing it away, you are using it, let's say, for decoration or something like that. So that's the idea, let's say, behind it.
And that is you said a TV. Oh, it's a little TV. Oh my goodness.
A little TV, yeah. It's from
Okay.
it's from the 50s actually, that one. So yeah.
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 I remember old TVs, the ones that they had with the bunny ears on them, and they looked like they were wood, only they weren't necessarily, or the little ones, the first little portable black and whites and things you could put on a stand, or my parents had one on a dresser.
Yeah, this one even has an antenna. So
Yep.
it's very old school, vintage.
Yeah, we called them bunny ears here because when you moved the antenna pieces out,
Yeah. It opens up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the let's say the explanations and basically the reason why I find this movement so and good, and that's why I even have the name of my YouTube channel is like that. So at least I am raising awareness just for having that.
Did you want it? Did you want your YouTube put into the comments or shared somewhere? I don't know that I can do that without making a squealing noise if I go to YouTube, but
yeah, I am not very.
So what is your YouTube called?
Upcycle Club.
Upcycle Club.
Yeah, and it has to do not only with upcycling, but also what we have coined as digital upcycling. So one of the main ideas behind the Upcycle Club is that we can utilize and upcycle, let's say, not only our real trash, but also our digital waste. So maybe sometimes someone, we are living in the era of digital content, and we have so much content, everyone, that many times we find ourselves to delete, let's say, old videos and all of that due to space limitations. And the main idea behind it was like, instead of deleting, maybe you can try to upcycle that small video you have into something better. And we were engaging in that. And some years ago, it was a very successful movement, let's say. We actually got a lot of different upcycle clubs popping up in different places in the world. We had one in of course, the one in Cyprus that we also had the actual park here. We had one in Barcelona, and Digital Club in Barcelona, one in Argentina, and in many other places around the globe. And the main idea was that people we were utilizing those small videos that people had, maybe creating an interesting upcycling project that other people might find interesting. And we were trying to take it to the global level in order to gain some, how do you say, some form of seed capital that we will allocate to that particular location, so they will be able to create their own park. So it was like a full self-sustaining movement going on. And
Yeah,
we have
I'm
achieved
looking at
some,
what
yeah.
CW said something about like a kind of pastiche. I'm trying to even imagine what upcycling digital content actually does, sort of in the place where I would encounter it, sort of like I am here, but also in the behind the scenes area where people do 1,000 things I don't understand, because probably a lot of people like me don't even realize how much space basic things take.
Yeah, 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 yeah. One of my personally favorite examples was there is one artist and great artist here in the island of Cyprus from another city from where I live, Maria Aristidu. And she creates paintings with wasted coffee grounds. So and I gave her the idea like next time you are gonna create a painting, just record it and let's see if we can actually promote it. Let's say at the global level. And I was able to do just that. She created a masterpiece of the Mona Lisa, and it got picked up from many
Wow.
places. It got featured on Yahoo, the video platform over there. It got featured in People magazine. It even got featured in on television, like NBC Studios and all of that. So all of that was part of promoting upcycling and the creative aspects that come with the members, let's say, that decide to engage with that.
Well,
So
that's interesting. I know yeah, I belong to a couple of clubs. I need to be much more fastidious about actually using the arts elements that I have, the paints, and I belong to a beading society. But I was thinking in terms of some of the mental health communities I've participated in. I joined an arts club from that one of the agencies was running way back when I needed a break from some of the stuff, and when I needed a place actually to take my son, so that he could, because he likes art as well, but um, a lot of courses and things have the communication impediment. So because I couldn't go to everything, and he couldn't necessarily have an interpreter available or a staff or somebody. So, but there was a little community church in our town that had they were one of those little ones. They had a coffee shop and a multi-purpose room, and they kind of switched over on Sundays with chairs and whatnot. And they ran some of the writing groups and art groups and things from one of the local mental health groups in there, and they would make all kinds of things. And then later I volunteered with a few as peer support, and the one here, they would sometimes have people come on where we had presentation. There was an opportunity, I don't remember exactly how it worked, but somebody who had been to a famous museum or something. Anyway, they had access to something where you could take a virtual tour, and this person actually talked us through the whole tour of the thing. And I'm thinking, some of these things you're describing would be great to have as something to view or something to engage with in some of those places as well. And there's a
yeah,
lot of need in those communities for people to have things to do and ideas and ways to feel like they could participate even.
yeah,
Yeah, coffee grounds, I've heard that they're very multi-purpose.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And also they serve as a super fertilizer.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
So here's a somewhat, well, anyway, a less pleasant tip on coffee grounds. My previous apartment had somebody who must have stored their dirty laundry in one of the cupboards I wanted to use, just on the floor, could not get rid of the smell. And one of my friends who knew about coffee grounds, she said to me, put them in the cupboard. I think
Mm.
it took less than 2 weeks. The smell was right gone.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah,
They just, yeah, they just absorbed it or something.
yeah.
And just amazing. I never knew they were so superpowered. Yeah. So your friend that does the art with them, though, does she use it as like a, does she create paint from the grounds or does she create textured things from the grounds?
I
Or
can
both?
share some videos of her with you. She actually here in Cyprus we have something called Cyprus coffee that it's very similar to the Turkish coffee. So it's a small, let's say, cup. So you drink it, and then you have the wasted
Yeah.
coffee ground part left, the leftover over there. That is good for fertilizer, as I've said before. But you can also utilize it as a paint.
Yeah.
So she actually paints with only with brown, but it's all the different shades of brown. So it's a very interesting exercise by itself, that one. And the results they are for me at least, and for some other people they are really good, really good. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've tried painting with the liquid using the coffee grounds to color the water, and once with a friend, um, and it surprised me. Actually, it almost had a smooth feel to it, like there's a texture to it,
Mhm.
even though it's not the kind of thickness that the paints have. That surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. It was kind of pleasant, actually. Yeah, that's where you say don't drink your water.
Yeah, yeah,
Art would still be okay. But yeah, yeah, I love interesting things to do with art, and I've never seen anybody who's actually done something that wasn't just casual, that's actually done it and had it put out places like you were saying. That's amazing.
yeah.
Wow. So your upcycle community, is that that's still ongoing, and you've got a channel, you put new things on it still regularly, or?
Well, basically, it got as we had it. Let's say it was like the beta phase. We managed to reach until the beta phase. So
Mm,
we created a lot of things for like 3 years, 4 years, and then we were getting ready to go to the next stage. Of course, at that point, life happens, and because it was uh, and it was like a private initiative, let's say, that it was open to everyone and it was a grassroots level initiative. Uh, we didn't have any funding, so all the money that we managed to get was coming from these bootstrapping activities. So at some point, when we thinks a bit, it's a matter of time at the end of the day. So, and as I told you the other time, life happens. To me personally, I had a very difficult time because my beloved father passed away. So I so I fell into a depressive era in my life, and
oh,
all the things that I was doing basically they went into the back burner for quite some time. Of course, until to this very day, I am in touch with the vast majority of the individuals that they were engaged. Once again, not only from Cyprus, but from all over the world. And they are asking me when are we going to reactivate it, the whole thing. So the idea is still there. I very recently started to not to pivot the channel, but I started uploading some videos that have to do mostly with this little corner. It's my platform, so I wanted to engage into what is called serious play. along with some of the other channels. So I decided to reactivate the platform, let's say, even in that manner. And yeah,
Upcycling it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So what is serious play? I mean, I know you and I've chatted about some of the things that you do in general, but I feel like sometimes the things I've listened to you talk about in other places and the things that I've chatted with you about myself, it seems like play is a big part of it.
Yes.
But yeah, so what do you mean when you're saying you're looking at serious play?
Basically, there is one of my favorite quotes of all times. It's from one of the so-called seven sages of age in ancient Greece, Anaharsis. He was a medic sage from Scythia, um, and he actually decided one day to leave his country and go find Solon, the lawmaker, and he found him, and there is an interesting dialogue between the two. But it ended up in Solon welcomed him, Anaharsis, at his home, and Anaharsis. We don't know a lot of things, let's say, from the literature from him, but some of his sayings they still remain. And that particular one that I particularly like is the following: play so that you may be serious. So I can so I can trace the origin, let's say, of the serious play back to Anaharsis and that particular quote. So as I understand it, it's fascinating to be able to play. Even you play with um, I play with my nephews, let's say, because I have seven beautiful nephews, and
Okay.
we can play together and engage, let's say, in this creative play and all of that. But we can also understand play in terms of serious play, like and in a way this is what I understand, that is uh, at least half of what is going on in this little corner. Like there is an element of some serious play and not only the joyful, let's say, aspects of it, but some of the things are they touch upon some more serious aspects of life, and the others they touch upon some of the playful aspects of life. But at the end of the day, it's all about play and deciding to engage. So one example is you with your new channel. That's what I consider to be an aspect of that serious play.
That fits fairly well. I've told people for most of my life that because my entire life I've hung out. When I was a little kid, I would hang out with old people and talk to them, and people would go, "Why are you doing that?" Now, I sit and I would talk to my kids' friends, and I just love talking to anybody across the spectrum of age and interests because people are so interesting and because people are fun, and I hear other people kind of put these parameters around it, that how they do in school where they block you all out in age groups, which to me has always been a little bit, what is that anyway? you know
Yeah.
and people would talk to me about, I don't know how you keep such a young attitude. And I said, well, my theory has always been immaturity counteracts chronological time. Therefore, keep a little aspect of immaturity in your system, and it's good for us because play. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. 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 It's good. It's really good. And in a way, I feel exactly the same. Like, I am not one of those individuals that I will change my attitude or my character to the person I am talking. I am the same even if I am talking to an elder or even if I am talking to a young 5 year 5 year old. So
Yeah. The
yeah,
children are fun to talk to, actually. And they
yeah,
can be a lot more serious than adults sometimes.
Yeah, and they can even teach us things. So that's the
Mhm.
cool aspect of it.
Yeah. We're around the hour, and I don't remember how much time you agreed to give me.
It's okay.
Are you still good to talk a few minutes, or would you like to kind of wrap it up and we can say
Whatever
that
you
again?
want, whatever you want, I'm down for it.
Okay. I'm peeking to see I've got sun coming in my face too.
Mhm.
I'm reading CW's comment there. Aspect of happy. Oh, I should try. Let's see. How do I put that up? No, I'm going to have to practice with Emma some more. Apparently, there is the way to pull it up onto screen. Learning. I thought I was good to go with how to do that because we gave a good practice the other night. But in the moment, I'm just looking and reading and enjoying the conversation. But so, yeah, CW says there is a kind of happiness and wonder that makes you serious. It is too good to waste on jokes. C.S. Lewis. I didn't know Lewis said that. That kind of that's
That
kind of
sounds good. Yeah.
yeah. I've read some of his things. He's got some very serious books, but I've really enjoyed a lot of his ones that are more fictional imagination ones too. Yeah.
Hmm. That's
All right.
great.
Well, I can hear a vacuum starting outside my door in the hallway. But yeah, thank you so much for coming and chatting with me and helping me to do the brave thing of actually hitting the stream button and getting it going. And thanks again for the lovely logo. That's
Thank you. Thank you for everything. And I wish you the best of luck. And I will be here to support you as much as I can.
appreciate it, Harris. And
Thank
yeah, we'll chat again offline if you,
you.
as well as on if you ever want to do this again. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandy, and everyone watching. Bye.
Bye.